Hello, Frank. As usual, it is a great pleasure to share these events that we frequently organize, but probably this is a special one. What are you enjoying most in this workshop?
Well, Mariano, the first and of the utmost point that I really like is that we have the chance to meet again in person, and we have seen it today that all the delegates are really were very much looking forward to meeting again and to exchange science and knowledge.
And what do you think, Frank, is the input from the younger generation in this workshop?
Well, it becomes obvious that the younger generation is really active. They have a tremendous knowledge, so they are heavily supporting us in coming to the outcomes of the workshop. That's clear from that end.
Yes, and also I think is relevant the fact that most of the people here, including some of the young ones, are real experts scientifically in the field, but they are also excellent clinicians.
Yes.
So what do you think that impacts on the outcome of the workshop?
Well, when we look a little bit at the societies and the foundation that is behind the organization of this workshop, we have to see that they all have a focus on the translational aspect, so translating science into clinical practice, and this is what this workshop is all about, and from my perspective makes it so unique. What do you think about it?
I also, of course, I fully agree with your assessment, but also I think that these workshops are the real meat of the science transfer that scientific organizations can set up, because of course many of the scientific organizations we have been working with have as their main activity the annual congress. And of course the annual congress is very important, is what relates to the members, but what I think has more long-term impact is the science transfer that we can offer to not only our members but to many dentists all over the world. And in that sense, I think this collaboration between the Osteology Foundation, Sepa and DGI, I think makes a very important gathering to make the outcome of the workshop something that really has a global impact.
Yeah.
From your perspective that you have been extremely active in DGI, been president of course, extremely active in Osteology Foundation, now in the executive board. A question from a Spaniard. What do you think is the added value of linking with Sepa?
Well, honestly saying, the Sepa is, for us, we are all aiming for the next generation, on how to reach out for the next generation. And I had the privilege being a speaker, invited speaker at the Sepa meetings, and I'm always blown away by the number, this incredible number of participants, and honestly saying also about the age. So this is what we are in Germany aiming for, and we are trying to get some tricks on how to manage it in Germany on the one hand side, but also just purely to, let's say, to participate at or with a society that had reached exactly this point. So this is what I really see as the major benefit for the DGI, but also for the Osteology Foundation from gaining these insights.
No, and also I believe that I think it's very important for Sepa not only to be successful in gathering many people, but also to have a high credibility in terms of scientific output and in terms of international recognition. And in this sense, I think the joining forces with Osteology Foundation and mainly with DGI, which is more or less the same organizational level, I think it adds a very good impact in general. And of course, we are here to organize a workshop, and I'm sure the results of the workshop will be excellent, mostly in terms of what can we transfer in terms of science to the clinicians that will be able to use that science for the benefit of their patients.
Mariano, you're mentioning a very important point. So attracting younger people it's nothing about the price or the location. At the end, it's about the quality. And if you do not deliver the quality, and the demand is really high, what I see from the younger people, if you do not deliver the quality, you may not be successful. And I guess there are the joint forces and why we come up with the consensus to even go one step further. And you have selected the topic. So I do remember when we had brainstorming sessions, unfortunately the pandemic disrupted the whole organization, but you came up with the idea to focus on soft tissue around implants. So what was your motivation to come up again? So again, I must say this is a hot topic, so this is nothing new, but you decided to come up again with the soft tissue at implant sites.
Well, because I mean, you know very well, Frank, that there has been a change in our scientific interest in implant dentistry. From the 90s that we were very interested how to integrate implants in bone, to the last 10 years that we have been mostly looking at how we can maintain the health of the peri-implant tissues. So to set up a workshop, not so much on health and disease, but on how we can improve the situation of the soft tissues for the benefit of our patients, I think is at the time, I think is very well scaled in also the expertise related to these organizations. And I think the outcome will be great.
Yeah, and we have seen what data had been published in between, so between the entire pandemic, and we had updated the literature, so we see the high dynamics. But at the same time, Mariano, we have realized today that it's not that simple to define simple thresholds or simple, let's say, reference points that we are supposed to use in the way that we can clearly communicate it. So soft tissues are really difficult to define and to handle in the terminology.
Yes, and also in the applicability of what comes from clinical research into daily practice. Because we also always have this sort of conundrum on whether we have evidence or not to do what we have to do. But we are seeing in this workshop that the scientific evidence is extremely important, but so it is our ability to make judgment and to decide based on expertise and clinical experience. And one should not go without the other. And going back to the young generation, I think it's also critical to also serve in a way as role models in the sense of striving for quality.
Exactly.
Because nowadays we see often that quality is lowered for visibility. And I think important it is visibility, but visibility without quality doesn't get far away.
Exactly. Exactly. So today we have finished the day one, so we are a little bit exhausted as usual after such a long day, but I think we had achieved the major tasks for today. What do you expect for tomorrow?
No, I think tomorrow's discussions will be really excellent because the regular situation is that you focus on the content of your own group, that you really concentrate on elaborating the sentences, applying the evidence into the recommendations. But many times it's very important that somebody fresh from another group look at what you have done and criticizes in a way that many things that you don't see, somebody out fresh will be able to pick it up and for sure improve the content of the final consensus.
Exactly. And this is what many readers at the end do not really recognize on the way on how intense the discussion sometimes on very simple statements might become. So this is a matter of fact.
It is. So I think, Franca, we are going to stop here